119. I mean, just think about that number for a second. We are literally witnessing absolute unprecedented dominance right now. Over just their last 3 games, the New York Knicks have outscored their opponents by a combined 119 points. That is officially the largest point per game differential over a 3-game span in the entire history of the NBA playoffs. No way, right?
Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome back to The Explainer, where today we are completely breaking down Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. And folks, what a jaw-dropping game it was. The New York Knicks didn't just beat the Philadelphia 76ers, they absolutely crushed them in a historic 137-98 blowout at Madison Square Garden. You know, the up-and-down nature of the Knicks season has somehow created the absolute perfect circumstances for them to transform. And right now, they look like an absolute playoff juggernaut.
Moving right into Section 1, the Game 1 masterpiece, a 39-point beatdown. So if you tuned into this game late, well, I've got some bad news for you because this contest was essentially over before we even reached halftime. The Knicks built a massive 23-point lead going into the locker room, completely overwhelming the Sixers right out of the gate and literally never looking back. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that happened. Notice how Jalen Brunson alone poured in an unbelievable 27 points in just the first 2 quarters. He was an absolute force of nature. I mean, he ended up finishing the game with 35 points total, but that early explosion, that's what completely broke the back of the 76ers. He didn't just set the tone, he practically tore the roof off the Garden right from the tip-off.
Next up, Section 2, a historic postseason wave, smashing records.
Now here's the crazy part. This wasn't just one incredible night in isolation. This massive blowout is part of a much larger, historic tidal wave that the Knicks are currently riding. The statistical absurdity here is just off the charts. The Knicks are now the very first team in NBA history to win 3 straight postseason games by at least 25 points. They shot a scorching 63% from the floor and led by as many as 40 points on Monday night. And remember, this entire wave began back in the first round when they fell behind 2-1 against the Atlanta Hawks. Since that exact moment of adversity, they have won 4 straight games by a combined 135 points. Their average margin of victory is a staggering 33.2 points since that pressure-packed Game 4 in Atlanta. But wow, we really have to flip the perspective here for a second. Why did the 76ers collapse so early? How does a team with so much high-end talent just fall apart at the seams on a massive stage like this?
Let's look at Section 3, fatigue versus team cohesion, the 48-hour turnaround.
You see, the reality of playoff basketball is sometimes incredibly brutal, and the physical toll it takes on the human body simply cannot be ignored. The contrast between these 2 rosters is honestly jarring. On one side, you've got the Knicks' remarkable cohesion. Their top 4 players, Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges, they played well over double the minutes together this season than the Sixers' top 4 of Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, and VJ Edgecombe. Plus, the Knicks were rested. They'd been waiting since dispatching the Hawks on Thursday. But then you look at the Sixers. They were just 48 hours removed from a grueling, highly emotional Game 7 win against the Boston Celtics, where they had to pull themselves all the way out of a 3-1 series deficit. The fatigue was so immense that Sixers coach Nick Nurse actually had to pull his starters midway through the 3rd quarter. They were trailing by over 30 points, and it was just this painful admission of the severe physical and mental exhaustion his team was suffering.
Which brings us to Section 4, star players set the tone, execution under pressure.
Because beyond the sheer fatigue, the individual performances really dictated a bizarre flow to this matchup. Just listen to this quote from Tyrese Maxey. He said, "I don't think I shot once in the first quarter. I don't think it was a real shot. The ball came out of my hand, so I'm just trying to read and figure it out." I mean, what is going on here? Maxey averaged 27 points against the Celtics, and here he didn't even record a single field goal until the 2nd quarter. You can literally hear the bewilderment in his own words. And it wasn't just him either. The Sixers tried to force-feed Joel Embiid early on, and it completely threw off their rhythm. Embiid missed 11 of his first 14 shots. Short of some early foul trouble for Knicks defenders Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson, everything just flowed horribly wrong for Philly's stars from the very jump. Now, what's really interesting to see here is how perfectly the Knicks supporting cast capitalized on all that chaos. OG Anunoby, who has honestly been playing his absolute best stretch of playoff basketball since arriving in New York, dropped 18 points on just 8 shots. That is some incredible efficiency. And Mikal Bridges, who was really struggling coming into the playoffs, while he knocked down 3 three-pointers on his way to 17 points, helping the Knicks shoot 51% from distance. As Knicks coach Mike Brown pointed out,
the guys are completely embracing the team's concepts at the highest level. He noted that when the players execute like this, it actually doesn't even matter who initiates the action, because everyone is just focused on playing the game the right way.
Finally, Section 5, looking ahead to Game 2, the pragmatic reset.
All right, we need to ground ourselves for a minute. The highs of Game 1 were undeniably historic, but the playoffs are a very long, grueling process. Even amidst all the spectacular vibes of a 39-point blowout, Jalen Brunson offered this incredibly pragmatic warning. He said, "I don't think we're going to see that team from Game 1 to Game 2. They'll be ready to go." Brunson knows that there is never a time to just sit back and say, "Okay, we're good now." And let's not forget, the 76ers lost Game 1 in Boston in a very similar fashion before bouncing completely back to win Game 2 in that previous series. So the absolutely crucial point here is that we cannot count them out just yet. So the question I leave you with is this: can an exhausted, battered Philadelphia 76ers squad truly reset in just 48 hours to weather this historic Knicks storm? Or are we witnessing the unstoppable awakening of a brand new Eastern Conference champion?